For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in today. You know, we were going to call this, or maybe we have, I don't pay attention to our meetings, but we were going to call this the Lottery Show. Lottery. I'm already tripping over the word, and we've just started. Lottery. You know, gambling. Lottery. The lottery. You buy a lottery ticket? Okay. So we had this discussion the other day because one of our colleagues here, I'm not going to mention names, Tim, he's a lottery snob. Now, I've never heard this before. I always just figured, okay, because the jackpot is however many millions, right? I don't think that I've ever heard of it being, you know, oh, it's only 50,000. No, it's millions. All these, you know, that's the whole point, is that it's a lot of money. So he's a lottery snob where he'll only buy a ticket if the jackpot is more than $50 million. Now, and apparently people actually do this. Well, if it's a big one, I'll buy it. So what, you won't, like 10 million isn't worth it for you? So I've never heard of that. Is it a phenomenon? Habit? I don't know what you'd call it. So we're going to talk about all things lottery and gambling because it's something that, like, my parents go to the casino. It used to be at least, I would say at least 3, maybe 2 times a week. I haven't lived with them for a long time, but I'm just trying to think of how often. They don't really have a social life, so their night out is either, you know, Walmart for grocery shopping or it's the casino. Yeah, let's say 2 nights a week they'd be gambling. It might be 3 now just because, you know, nobody's there monitoring them. So anyway, just, you know, thoughts on gambling, because my brothers and I never got into it. I've got 2 older brothers. You know, we just sort of looked at it as like, why would I just feed a $20 bill into a slot machine? You know, back in the day, you had the roll of quarters, right? So it was a little bit, you know, your fingers got all black. Like, there was something fun about that. But now when you just slide in a $20 bill, I don't even understand the slot machine games now, because you can have, you know, 40 million different, like, winning combinations, which is obviously good for the winner or for the player. But I don't, like, I want to know what I'm winning, right? Like when it was 777 or cherry, right? Cherry or bell or whatever say it again? Yeah, cherry or bars. Thank you. I said bell. You know, when it was 3 in a row, like, I understood that. So then it was kind of more fun for me because it's like, okay, I got 3 of them in a row. Now, when I've gone, I go to the casino with my cousin, but I'll explain that in a second. I almost found myself getting mad when I was winning because I didn't, like, I don't know, I don't get it. And then the fact that it's so fast, I'm sitting there going, well, did I win this time? How come I won on that last one, but not this one? This one looks similar, but you go so fast, right? There's no questioning it. I realize that it's, you know, why would it lie? Why would it cheat? But I don't know. I mean, right? Because after it stops spinning, and then it says game over or try again or whatever it says at the end, you hit the button right away. Nobody ever goes and cross-references and looks and says, actually, wait a second, that was supposed to pay me. Because there's been times when I've been, actually with Suzanne, she's not here today, Suzanne, our producer, where she would be sitting there, we'd be playing a slot machine, and she'll go, yes! And then all of a sudden it doesn't win, or doesn't, you know, collect, or whatever you call it. And so she's like, well, wait a second. And I said, yeah, I thought that you did have that last time. Right? But you just hit the button again and then you wipe away the evidence. Like, I almost want to start taking pictures and go, okay, social media people, why didn't this win? They'd probably just say, you know what, piss off, just spend another 50 cents and roll again or spin again. Anyway, so it's all things gambling. So this is not, I'm not just talking to the gamblers on this one. I'm actually going to be talking to, well, I guess the gamblers, but also the people who are like me that just don't kind of get it. Like, the casino isn't really fun for me unless I make it social. So that's coming up on the Scribble starting right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here on the Scribble. So my parents have long been gamblers. I was going to say gangsters. What is happening today? What is happening? They've long been gamblers, and so that it almost seemed like a rite of passage when my brothers. I've got two older brothers. I'm the youngest. I'm 43 now, but when we turned 18, it was kind of this. It was a big deal to for our parents to take us to the casino, because that was like just the sign of adulthood, right? So you would go to the bar with your friends. That was your first kind of public drinking sort of. Well, that's what they wanted you to believe. Some of us were drinking long before that, but the nightclub is the first real kind of outing with your friends when you're of age, and then the parents take you to the casino. So we did that for my 18th birthday. In Canada, the gambling age, or at least in my home province, it still is 18, I believe. I don't think that they would have changed it. And so I had to pretend, because when I was working, I was 16, 17 years old. Yeah, I wasn't 18 when I was working at Red Lobster. So I was, for my 16th and my 17th birthday, I was at Red Lobster. And after we would close the restaurant on the weekends, there was an Olive Garden, same company, in the parking lot. We shared a parking lot, basically. The two restaurants were side by side, kind of. And so we, the staff, would go to the Olive Garden lounge, and they had what we in Canada would call VLTs, or video lottery terminals. And that's the ones that have like poker and then a couple other games. I don't remember what they were. Was there blackjack or something? But it wasn't like the actual slot machine of roll, 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 like, or spin, spin, spin kind of a thing. So I had played those, several times when I was 17. And again, it was closed and you're kind of just there, and, they're not reporting you. They're not checking your ID because we're all colleagues, right? So I'd been gambling, and then because they weren't really sticky on checking ID and things back in the day, right now, they're scanning your ID and they're, whatever. I had gone to the casino with a couple of my coworkers when I was 17. Yeah, again, whatever. So when my 18th birthday came around and my parents were, this was kind of their big, I think they were more excited than I was, right? Because it's like, well, now we can take our, our kid and we can show them around. This is the place that we basically are pissing away their inheritance. So I had to pretend like I'd never gone there before. Like this was the first time, like everything was all new. I'm looking around going, oh my, wow, like this is so cool. It's like what you see on, movies about Las Vegas, right? Like it says, wow, this is really, meanwhile, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Been here already. Could you imagine if one of the employees there would have recognized me and like, oh, back again, Jeremy? I'd get busted. Oh, well, anyway. But it was also, it was kind of fun too, because, and again, this, like I said, the slot machines were the old school ones where you're putting coins in them, but there was also, there was like a horse racing thing where you would sit around this table and you would bet on whatever color or the number or something of the horse, right? And then the little horses, the little, like, not animatronic, but whatever, had like magnets or something underneath, right? And they were going around this actual like track, and you would bet on it. And so I remember sitting there with my brother. He gave me a roll of quarters, whatever. And so I was very liberal. I was very like, oh, I'll just do 25 cents, meanwhile, my brother is just like, rolls of quarters are flying into this machine. He's gone $20, $30. And I'm just, okay, well, maybe I'll do 50 cents this time, right? I was being very, very conservative. So conservative would be the word, not liberal. Thank you. And so, I remember that, and then my parents would, they also gave me rolls of quarters, and, you'd go and your fingers would get all black, and I think there was even smoking in the building at the time too, so there's, the cloud of smoke there, so it was just a very an adult feeling, and, but it never was fun for me in the sense of sitting there and gambling. Like, I could not do it for even 5 hours straight. I just couldn't. Now, here's why I have done it, though, in the past for 5 hours straight, is because I go there with a friend or a colleague. My cousin Sherry, we go, we'll do bingo, or Lisa, even our assistant, but we make it a social thing. So when I'm sitting there with Lisa, we're not even looking, because the bingo, you just have to press the button. You're not even actually like scanning your cards. You're not even looking for the numbers. You just press the button. You don't have to do anything. We have found, and we've said this several times, that we don't even know what game it is. We don't even know what's happening because we're talking, we're having a glass of wine, we're laughing, we're truly not even paying attention to the game. Seriously, when you don't even know what bingo game it is, that means that you're more into the moment, right? Like you're more you're into the company that you're keeping, right? That's you're there. And so we have a great time. Same thing with Suzanne, our producer. We've gone, there was one weekend where we ended up going, there's a casino north of, Winnipeg, so we drove, like an hour or something. And again, it was more like, it was kind of road trip. It was fun. It was, we had some food. I don't even remember how much I spent gambling that day. It might have been, $40 or $60 or something, whatever. But it was just a fun kind of a thing to do. When I see the people, and I have sliding $100 bill, one after the other, that's fine if you have a lot of money, whatever. I mean, do your thing. But that to me is a very serious, like, I'm here to win. I mean business. And again, whatever. If you've got that kind of money to piss away, then go for it. But when I look around and I see the people that they're not even like happy when they're winning. They're not even smiling. They're not even, I win at bingo. This is absolutely a true story, because depending on how many people are playing, the bingo pot or prize will be less if there's not as many people playing, or it'll be more if there's a lot of people playing. I'm not shitting you. There was one time where I won, I think it was like 70 something cents, or like $1 something, $2, truly less than $1. So it cost you $2 for the cards and you only win 70. So you've lost when you win, if you know what I mean, mathematically, right? But the fact that it's like, okay, Suzanne didn't win, but I did. Yahoo! Like, I'm celebrating that. So we have fun with it. And so in that regard, sure, I could be there for 5 or 6 hours, because we'll have something to eat, we'll sit around for an hour, we might go to the lounge and have a drink. They have like live entertainment at the ones in Winnipeg, in my hometown. So, we'll go and we'll listen to, we might even dance a little bit. We've done that when there's been bands. And then we might head back to the slot machines or bingo or whatever it is and play again. But that's really the extent of it. So when I see these like diehards that are there either first thing, as soon as it opens, or they're there at 2, 3 in the morning, and it's just the look of seriousness, I don't know that they're having fun. Truly, there's not any indication on their face that I'm having a good time, I'm winning, and maybe that's the poker face of it all, right? Maybe you don't want to seem, too cocky. You don't want to draw attention to yourself if you're winning, but that's, I think, part of the fun of it when you do go with somebody. And you notice that a lot of the time, it appears that the person is there by themselves. Like when my parents go, which I used to go with them a long time ago. I haven't in, I don't even know, 10 years maybe, probably, yeah, maybe about that. I would go, and my dad would go one direction, and then my mom would go the other, and so I thought, this is kind of funny. So you technically go together, but you guys don't even, stay together. He goes to whatever it is that he plays, I don't remember. They're both slot machines. My dad, they don't do poker or anything, so it's the slot machines they go to. But yeah, he goes one direction, she goes the other, and all right, I'll meet up. Well, let's meet up in an hour, or she'll go and find him or something. And I thought, wow, you're not even like I said, when we play bingo, we're sitting side by side. We're going, Oh, and then we also, with Suzanne, it's always like, okay, whoever wins next gets the next round of, we'll have wine or whatever it is. So it ends up kind of being, or snacks or whatever we might be doing at the time. But it's a social thing. Same thing with my cousin Sherry. We'll just go and it's whatever. Or if it's just, let's just play some. What we've done is there was one party game. I can't remember the name of it. Whatever. And I used to work at Party City back in the day. So I said to her, okay, well, that's a sign, right? Like, a party game. I was the manager at Party City. Okay. And then there was one that had lobsters. I just said I worked at Red Lobster. So I was like, okay, I'll do the lobster game. So we would find kind of like, and again, we're just being silly, but we would find a game that had a connection to us, right? She is, my cousin is, I'm not going to get into what, but there's something similar to her profession. And so we were walking through and there was, a machine for that. And then I loved the soundtrack for Little Shop of Horrors, and there was a game, a Little Shop of Horrors game. So I'm sitting there, and this is funny too, because I crank up the volume. I'm bopping along. I'm singing to the music. I'm winning the extra games, that the bonus games that they give you. And people are looking at me and, and I'm just like, I'm having a good time. If you don't like it, fuck off. This is the whole point. Like, a casino is supposed to be fun. You rarely see people like laughing and celebrating. It's very strange to me. So, so the casino, and I'm just trying to think right now as I speak to you, when was the last time that I went to the casino? Well, it was with my cousin Sherry, but was it winter? I don't even know. Yeah, it was probably winter. Or was it a year ago, maybe? I don't remember. Yeah, so it's definitely not something that I'm going to, every month. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was winter. We went to the arcade. That was another thing. Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying about being social and fun. There's this arcade that we go to where it's like Chuck E. Cheese back in the day, where you'd win the tickets and then you'd go and collect it for prizes. So we had done that, and then we were going to be passing the casino on the way home, and so either she said it or I said it. One of us said it. Let's just go see if there's bingo tonight or whatever it was. And so we ended up just going, and, so we just, it wasn't about winning. It wasn't about, it was just something to do. So tell me what your thoughts are on casinos, right? And the same thing with Vegas. When my brother was going to be going, and my cousin goes to Vegas quite frequently. So he had asked my cousin, then he had asked me, because we had taped some radio shows in Vegas years ago. And I said to him, yeah, I mean, Vegas is interesting, but I don't know that you would do like a 7-day vacation there if you're, unless you're a real diehard gambler, which, as I said, my brothers and I are not. I said, I think you might even get bored of gambling after 2 or 3 days, just because it's not about that you'd lose all your money. It's just that we're not entertained by that. So it's not something that would, keep our interest. And, his wife would probably want to go and watch some shows or do, something like that rather than gambling. But, and again, when you're in Vegas, yeah, maybe you do gamble a little bit more than you normally would or what have you. But yeah, I don't know. So tell me your thoughts on casinos. Send me an email, live, Live at jbonair.com, live at jbonair.com. Now, let's talk lottery in the next segment when we come back, right here on the Scribble.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here on The Scribble. So, is $10 million enough for you? 20, 30, how about even 5? Would you settle for 5? Would you settle for $1 million? Would you? Would you settle for $1 million? Well, Tim on our staff is a big old snob and doesn't feel that 10 million would be enough for him to buy a lottery ticket. But he will religiously buy when the jackpot goes over. Tell me again, Tim, was it 50 or 40,000 he's saying? Sorry, 40 million. Why 40 million and not, 25 or 30? I don't know. That's just what he says. So I'd never heard of that, but apparently it's a thing, right? Well, people will only buy when it's, and same thing with the Powerball that we have here in the United States. I was going to say in California, but it's across the country, that, there's people who only when it gets to $1 billion will they buy a ticket. And I'm sitting here going, 500 mil wasn't enough for you? Really? Okay. But here's the thing. This is where I find it, and I'm certainly not trying to be, hoity-toity or whatever, but my husband and I have a lot of money. So I don't really hear about wealthy people buying lottery tickets. Maybe they do. Maybe it's on the down low, but I haven't really heard of a millionaire winning the lottery already, right? Because you already have that. So do millionaires play lottery? So that's what I'm saying is I don't, I will buy it if, like I talked earlier about, the social kind of a thing. If I'm talking about it and I happen to be walking through, let's say, the mall or whatever, and then there's a sign that says that it's 100 million or whatever it is, and I'm with somebody and I'll say, okay, I'll buy one, you buy one. Let's just randomly throw out numbers that either, mean something to us or whatever it is. And then let's just buy a ticket for shits and giggles. So that's when I'll do it. It's because I'm walking by and I see the sign, but I don't think I've ever been sitting in my house or, just out and about and go, oh, right, I got to buy a lottery ticket, because I have no idea what the jackpots are. I don't pay attention to that. So it's when I notice the sign. So again, when you're at the casino and you're walking by and there's the big flashing numbers of how much the jackpot is, oh, what the hell, let's just go and, I'll get a ticket then. But, and then, you get them for your birthday and people give them to you. But I don't even know how, I know the thing that you fill out the little card with the numbers on it, but apparently there's ones where you pick 7 numbers or 6 numbers or 5 numbers, or there's ones where you just pick the numbers 0 to 9, so you'd pick 3 different numbers, or a pick 3 or a pick 4 kind of a game. I had no idea there's so many. I always just knew that was the main jackpot one and that's what you buy, whatever. But no, there's so many other ones that you can pick numbers for. So I don't, this one has 6, and then I get it wrong. And so the woman at the counter is like, well, you've got too many numbers, but not enough on this one. And I'm like, whatever. So for me, it's, is it 2 million? Whatever. I'll take 2 million. I've got nothing against that. But certainly it's more enticing or more appealing when it's 50 or 60 or 70 million. But I just, the snobbery of it all, when it's 3 million, what's that good for? And so then it leads to the discussion, though, of what would you do if you won the lottery, right? That's what everybody always says. And it's typically the same things, right? Of, I'd buy, a big house, or we'd travel the world. Here's the thing. Let me tell you. The reality check for people who do not own a big house, I own 2. The older that you get, though, the smaller the house you want. Here's why, okay? Because we have 3 floors to our house in Canada. It's a very large house, okay? Do you know how often I want to go to the basement if I'm upstairs on the top floor? I'm at that point in life where I'm just I'll go down there tomorrow. I don't even want to go all the way down to the main floor, round the corner, go down the stairs again just for something simple. No, I don't. There's times I could probably go a week or 2 without even going down to our basement. So the novelty, I applaud your aspirations of being a mansion owner. As you get older, you're kind of why did I? No, I just, just a tiny little house is better. A smaller house. And even if you forget something in the other room, at this point now, we're kind of I think I left it in the kitchen. I'll go later. So So I appreciate your wanting to get the biggest house in the city, but that's also the reality of it. And then too, the backyard to take care of the grass. Like, oh fuck, screw it. We're not even. We pay people to do the yard work and stuff. I've got no and clean it too. That's why somebody had said to me when we were having this discussion about, well, you can go 2 weeks without going to your basement. What about laundry? I'm like, there's a woman that does that. We don't do our laundry. But again, like I said, not that I'm bragging, but we have money, so I don't, could I use $1 million? I mean, I guess, but, when people go and say about, well, you travel the world, like, we can do that with the money that we have now. We just, we travel when we want to, and that's that. There's not anything that we would, And then you have people go and say, well, I mean, you can, donate it, you can give it to people. Like, well, what's the point of me winning it just to, that's the whole point of... I don't know. Maybe that's selfish to have that reaction, but I guess you could. But I'm not. Why would I buy a lottery ticket and then just win it and give it to let somebody else win it who actually needs it or wants it or whatever? It's kind of stupid. So then, of course, like I said, there's the discussion about what you would do when you win, and then obviously you're going to have people that are going to come out of the woodwork. All right, your long lost cousins, your neighbor's cousin's friend from 15 years ago, and so. Lisa, I was having this discussion with my assistant Lisa, and I keep saying our. She's technically my husband's assistant, but sometimes she jumps in, so she's kind of an assistant to the couple in charge. But we were saying that where she said, the first thing that I would do is I would change my phone number, and then only give it to certain people because your number is going to be out there, and whoever has it from 10 years ago. She said that's the first thing that I would do is change my phone number, which I thought was really interesting because I would never have. I already screen as it is, so I would just be like, whatever, I'm just not going to answer these calls that are unknown or whatever. Period, point blank, done. And so she said, well, if I haven't talked to the person in 6 months, or if I haven't talked to them in a year, or if I don't know, what they do for a living, or if I don't know what their job is or where they work. So she's kind of putting in criteria, right? Like if I haven't spoken to you in a year, well, how close are we then, really, right? So there's sort of that limit or limitation, I guess might be the word. There's a time frame. Like they say about when you're cleaning your house, right? Whether you keep something or not. Have I used this in the last 6 months? In the last 5 years? No? Well, then what's the point? Why do I have this still? And I said, all right, that's one way of looking at it. And again, because I don't play the lottery, I haven't really thought about, so then I was like, well, I think what I would do in my life anyway, I've written books and I had book signings and all these things, best-selling books, excuse me. I said to myself, well, did you come to any of my book signings would be something that, because I would say that, right? Did you support my career, right? I was an entrepreneur. I didn't have, my success and my Hollywood career, right? Because I was starting out in my parents' basement in Winnipeg, and then my radio show took off that, we were then broadcasting from West Hollywood and, doing red carpets. And then I have this best-selling book that I went and did the press blitz in Winnipeg. And then I had another book after that. And so that first best-selling book, I was doing, book signings all the time. And so that was something that I thought of would be, yeah, did you come to a book signing? Did you pay full retail price and buy a book? And you're going to be like, well, that's no. But here's the thing. Because that's supporting my career, right? That's supporting who I became and what was my life at that time. I'm trying to think of when I wrote it 12, 13 years ago, right? Did you come to a book signing? Did you buy a book? Did you buy a book? Did you read it? If you did not, then fuck you, right? That's kind of where we're at. Can you name my book? Without Googling right now, face to face, can you name one of my books? Can you name a book? Can you name the radio show that I hosted for 15 fucking years? Can you name the show that I hosted? 15 years. There was plenty of coverage of it on social media when I would be doing red carpets or travel broadcasts and shit like that. Absolutely. We branded all those posts with the name of the radio show. Sure did. Can you name it? Do you remember? Could you name 5 celebrities that I had on the show? Again, those were all out there. They were posted. Can you? Can you name any of them? No? Well, so now you want a cut of my money. You've shown absolutely no interest in my life. Not my career. Can you name my dogs? That's another one, right? Do you know the names of my 2 dogs? Name one of them. Name one of my dogs. One. Just one. Just one. Not one of the dead ones, the ones that died, of age and whatever, or health issues from years ago. My current dogs right now. What are their names? And here's the thing, by the way. I can almost guarantee you that more than 50% of my family can't even do that. My relatives, for 50% of them couldn't name my current dogs right now. Now, we don't live in Winnipeg where most of my family lives, but the bottom line is, I can name all of their pets. I sure can. I remember their dogs' names. I haven't seen them in years, but I remember Yep, sure do. I remember Shep, Booker, Rocky. I know all of them. Yep, sure do. Can you name my 2 dogs? I don't know. Don't know. So, that would be my. I know I was pretty fired up there, right? But that would be what I would say. I truly would. I mean, and secondly, even there's also just other basic questions like, do you have my phone number? Did you have my phone number before this? Tell me 3 conversations that we've had ever in, and I'm just thinking about cousins and other relatives who I've maybe seen at events or, at places before. But again, that's what it is. Now, I don't know that it would be that bad, right? I don't know that you would have all these people who haven't given 2 shits about your life all of a sudden coming out of nowhere. You're going to have the people who, I was a friend of your dad, or I went to school, whatever. Or I was a friend of your grandma because she's dead and nobody can refute that, right? So, but that would be my thing. I would predetermine. I'm not a very giving person anyway. Let's be honest. I mean, I've had to work very hard for everything that I've accomplished in my career. So it's not like things have been handed to me. It's not like I've, I've had to establish my career and make it. Even this was before the time of social media making everybody, instant famous and instant wealth. So for me, yeah, it would be, have you bought one of my books in the past? Could you name my radio show? Can you name 2 of my dogs? And I would also think, though, that in asking somebody that, I truly would, by the way, I would say it exactly like that. Thanks for, reaching out, whatever. Let me just ask you a couple questions, because here you are coming with your hands out expecting a giveaway. But that's exactly what I would say. And I would hope that through my line of questioning, whether it's, 3 questions or 5 or however many, that I hope that at that point, I would prove my point as to why I would not give them anything, right? There's 2 ways you can handle it. There's 2 ways you can approach it, which is ignore the person forever and just not ever answer their inquiry about giving them money. Or secondly, just do exactly what I'm saying is, here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you, and just like I'm asking every other person. So if you know somebody else who's asked me, you go and ask them, did he ask you these questions? And they're going to say yes. And I've got the 3 or 5 laid out. And if it's a no to any one of them, it's no right away, automatically. So if on question 1 you answer no, then done. Zero. And I would hope that people would actually kind of understand that and go, yeah, that's true. I haven't given a shit about his life. I really have never spoken to the guy at a family get-together. He does something on the radio, but, not good enough. Sorry. I realized that I really didn't do anything to win that 5 million, 10 million, however much, right? Besides buying a ticket or, picking the numbers or whatever it is. So it's not like it's my hard-earned money that I'm giving away. But you're expecting, somebody to give however much, even if it's $5,000. I don't know how much people actually ask for when, they do something like that. But yeah, it's a no. It is a hard and fast no. And at the same time, because I don't have... I think that people might actually, just because of my personality and how I am, I think that people actually might be fearful of just coming up to me and asking. So look at me sounding all cocky that everybody's going to be coming to me for money. Meanwhile, watch, the phone will not ring and then I'll go into depression going, why didn't anybody ask me for money? No, I really would. Like if you, like I said, you can't even name, my dogs or just even the basic shit about my husband. What's my husband's fucking name? Really? That's how very close I am with most of my family. They'll say, well, that Brazilian guy? Yeah, okay, but he's been around for almost 10 years now, so you don't even know. Okay, great. Yeah, thanks. Well, here's $1 million for your troubles. Fuck off. So Anyway, maybe that's also why I don't buy a lottery ticket. I don't want to deal with that garbage. But so tell me, I want to know all of your thoughts on this. So how often you buy a lottery ticket? Is it based on what the prize is, or, right? Because you don't want just 3 million. You want the 1 billion. And then secondly, if somebody does come to you and asks you for money, do you ask them questions? Do you have a limit as to how much you would give somebody too, right? Would you say, okay, I'm going to just do $10,000 as the most, or, well, maybe even that's too generous. Let's say 5,000 for people. And it's got to be, worthwhile, make a pitch like you're on Shark Tank or something. What's going to be that determining or the defining factor for you in giving somebody? Or would you just not? I know that there's some people who said, I'm going to change my number, and I might even just sell my house in the meantime. Like I might even, figure out how to leave or go somewhere. Actually, no, sorry. Lisa did say whichever of them wins, would either go and put the name in the other one's, put the house in the other one's name, or go and do like a legal name change almost right after, so that it's not as easy. But then she said we'd go and we would skip town though for a few months, so that there aren't people banging on the door, whatever. We would just kind of go. We're going to remove ourselves from the situation, so we don't have. And because we've changed our numbers, it's, and I said, that's an interesting idea as well. So anyway, send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some